things that come to my mind, I guess, to wrap up, that stick out to me, and maybe some examples. I think of a parent and a child relationship where parents, as a biblical parent, you should be correcting your child. You should be disciplining, correcting, and steering your child in the right direction, not for any reason of your own pride or selfish gain or anything like that. It's because you love them and you want the best for them. And so what are the ways that we see that being effective and ineffective? Because when we see parents that say, "Don't do that because I said so," well, then typically you wind up with a rebellious teenager that's going to sneak and do it anyways. They don't see the reason behind it. And I think that could be applied into the same believer-to-believer relationship where iron sharpens iron, and we can relate to one another as human beings, as on the same spiritual journey. Where if you relate to your child in that way, that look, we're both people, and I've made this mistake. I don't want you to make this mistake because I know the path that it leads down. When we preach that to them, it's much more effective. It doesn't always work, but it does have a better effect than the "because I told you so." And then to speak to what Joe said, finishing up here, is the idea that being able to speak into a person's life, like you said, the person that invites you in, that comes and tells you of their struggles, that's one whole thing. But the other person, you need a window into that person's life to be able to do that. And if you have no relationship with them, it's really hard. And so my encouragement to our church and the church in general and believers in general would be to make sure that you're not keeping windows closed that you could be getting open, so that you could be helping each other, you could be sharpening each other, so that when we do assess ourselves, we see that God is doing something and He's working on us. So love those around you, love your church, have fellowship regularly with other church members, with other believers. And that doesn't mean just at church. That means go do things with them outside of church. Invite them over to your house. Live life together and pour out your heart's desires to each other. It doesn't mean have to be the most intimate thing in the world, but just tell people, hey, I'm just trying to be a better Christian and I want to live my life with other Christians. And I think that would be really valuable to our church in general and the church at large. So I don't know if you'll have anything else that comes to mind on that as we close up or not, but
I think it's a great testimony to Christ and His love when the world around us sees the church loving each other. Like you said, when you're at the Shop-A-Rama and doing something and you see another church member, that interaction testifies to everybody around there what your church is like. Mm-hmm. People see a glimpse into your church through that. They're assessing you. And so we have to do that self-assessment of, when I interacted with X at Shop-A-Rama, would I want them to gauge my relationship with Christ and Christ's love for them based on that interaction? I have to always bring that back to that self-reflection. What's easier for me to do, again, we're back to the beginning of the conversation, is go, well, David didn't do his part in that interaction. David could have had that, but handled that better. Mm-hmm. What I need to do is, did I? Right. And do the self-assessment of the person that's sitting there in front of the mirror. And by doing that, constantly trying to improve that, what we're doing is improving the world around us. You know, Paul says we see now dimly. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's seen dimly is because it's seen through the human interaction. And so we have to make that as bright as possible to show other people the way.
I hope some of this has been beneficial to you watching this week. We are not sure what we're doing. We are just shooting from the hip on a lot of this, trying to figure out the timings and everything. So this video may be a little longer or shorter than some others. I don't know. But we are having a great time doing it. If you guys have any ideas, comments, questions, things that you'd like to see discussed by three very intelligent individuals, I'll find some more people to talk about.
That's right. We'll go find three intelligent individuals.
But if you have anything that you'd like to hear discussed, or you'd like to participate a little bit, just let us know and we will figure a way out to do that. We look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Thanks for joining us.